my root chakra. My root chakra. Oh my God, my root chakra. My root chakra. My root chakra needs a lot of balancing. I'm saying my root chakra needs a lot of, good Lord, balancing. My root chakra needs someone to come and step on it or do some type of resetting or massage or something, just something to do with the physical. Yeah, you know, as being the earth sign, Taurus, it being about all shape and form and everything means that I feel everything. So even when it comes to deserving something like a massage, then I feel like I deserve one. Now, welcome. Shout out to everyone in the comments, each one teach one, Jagawa Mudaka. Now, so let's dive deep into what you call these generational curses, or what you call the wasoso, or what you call all these things that when it comes to culture, you claim or you abide by, and you say, okay, dena the wasoso, maithe maito, digereri, dire, what you call megabo, what you call diho, what you call gemi, what you call mururuma, koruruma, what you call all these consonants and whatever you want to call it. Now, pay attention. Now you may need to get your books, okay? You may need to get your books because we're about to go Leo deep, but everything is in reverse, so we'll be surfing these esoteric waters. Now, a lot of you have gotten your perspectives shifted in a wrong way, in a very different way. And you see, I like using myself as an example. And I keep telling you, like, I'm learning through me, myself as an example. And I'm not even now questioning a lot of things. I'm looking at things like, could someone be participating in something that they don't know? But this could have been the setup for me to get the message. For example, my father, James Mudaka Jenga, my father, I've been told is my father, and I've used his surname. So a father doesn't have to be the one who sired you. But for this life, my father, the farthest away star. Now, my father didn't bury his sister. So babangu hakuenda mazishi ya sistake. Now, I'm not saying that you have to go. I just want to teach you. This is for teaching purposes only. I want to show you something deep. When you talk of generational trauma, when you talk of generational curses, okay, I want to show you something deep. Now, when my sisters, when my father's sister died, my auntie, may she rest in peace, etago Miriam Kavura. When she died in Njoro, so Njoro pale Jawado, karibu na kanisa inaitangwa kanitha wa Mutuota, ni kanitha wa Kolino. Iko hapo Njoro. Ukifika Njoro town, hapo bondeni, ukiwa bondeni, uvuke reli to your right, ushuke bondeni, ushuke reli to your right, kuna reli hapo. Hapo ni Jawado Shopping Center. Ukiwa hapo useme nyonia kanitha wa Mutuota. Ukiwa hapo useme uonyeshwe kwa wa Boibogua. The late one Boibogua. So that's my grandmother. Okay? So my grandmother's daughter, Miriam Kavura, who is my last born sister, as a sister to my father. You see the naming. May she rest in peace. When she died, my father didn't bury her. So kulikuwa na hiyo sherehe wanataka kuenda kubury sister yake, but wakakosana kidogo sijui na my mom shenanigans, and kuamkia kuzika sister yake kesho akaambia mama amka tuende nyumbani, and they came back to Nairobi. So akuzika sister yake juu ya hasira, whatever anger or one of the 7 deadly sins, which is wrath. Si tulisema tunaongelea the 7 deadly sins, ni kupona. So that wrath, hiyo hasira ilifanya asizike sistake. Now pay attention. Now mimi nimejipata kwa ondo ile. Nimeanza kuamka, mimi huyo niko kwa mbogo. Ndakunero wate modo mogo. So niko on that vibe, okay? So niko on that vibe of the awakening. Now, it doesn't matter how it comes to you. Okay? It's tiado the masiara gona bogo. Nyene ni ari andu ake akurekio matari ya guciaro na vitu kama hizo. Now, so nimejipata kwa mihiriga kenda. Ndekora kwa mihiriga kenda. Kwa mihiriga kenda ri turuga atiriri tutithiaga mathiko mene. Ati tutiekaga atia tutithiaga mathiko mene. Kuu ni kwa M9. I want you to pay attention. This is why I told you you can bring your notes and you can share the live, because I'm going to go very deep into our culture, very deep. Ndio sasa ujue, are you following the good news or are you following the truth? Wewe thia no horea mwega, ikoyokia Southern Kikuyu, ikoyokia Mavuku, ikoyokia kwandikwo ngano thia na the truth. What is more logical? What you can see more in nature. Not what you are told or is in stories or in fables or is in books facing Mount Kenya. Now, so, ndaje kuga dithia mathiko mene. Demerega kenda ndaje kuga na ni dithia mathiko mene. Wa muthaka ndathia mathiko mene. So, something is telling me si lazima uende mazishi ya wenyewe. Okay? Now, in my mine expansions, nishafika to the point I know the kind of rituals it means when you are being put in a casket. Or when a casket doesn't touch the ground, so it's supposed to be kept uplifted. Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, the late, Queen Elizabeth, a vault, na vitu kama hizo. So, ikifika hapo sasa, you find that some of us, our perspective, na watu wengine, imekuwa ikishift over time. So it's not what you do, it's how you do. So it's not what the shifting is, it's how the shifting happens. That perspective. Mirega keda maruga tutithia mathiko mene. Ni mirega keda maruga matithia mathiko mene. Na ni ndiriri ithuona tutithikanaga. Muiko ndathikanaga. Muiko ni gucokia mwiri. You see the difference? So, you find that the perspective, the shift has happened, but watu wameamka in their own way. Watu wameshift into their own memories, into their own mental expansions, into the spirits that they were following na kwenye walikuwa wamefika. So this is where you are trapped in mental jails, or jail forms, or jail thoughts, na vitu kama hizo, where wewe una follow tu. Unajua, wewe una follow tu. So, kwanza nione kwani wakita. Green screen. Okay. So, for the others, perspective yao imeshift, but imeshift into tutithiaga mathiko mene. Tutithia mathiko mene. But where pia yako perspective imeshift into tutithikanaga. Muikuyu ndathikanaga. Muikuyu ni gucokia tiri. Ni guthikirira. Okay? Ni guthikirira. Nikio twari oro wa gwikia tiri. Okay? sprinkling from dust to dust, no ti kwenja irima na gwikira ithanduku, ti kuhingiriria ina casket. Unaona sasa kwenye tunaenda, huyu anasema endi mazishi ya wenyewe, lakini hajakataa mazishi ya wenyewe ifanywe, ichimbwe shimo. Ndaraheana icio, ndaraheana cia mwiri gwikirwo ithanduku ni kuga atia, mwiri gwikwo postmortem ni kuga atia, mwiri kwaga kuhutia tiri ni kuga atia, na vitu zingine kama hizo. Okay? Na nikio Mugikuyu atigaga mwiri githaka. The body will be left to be eaten by the wild animals, to be scattered into nature by the hyenas. I'm not saying we do that, but there was a reason why. The bodies would be left to decompose. Some of them, there would be rituals whereby that body, as it decays, it will be put in a place where everybody can see the body. So hapa tunaingia body preservations where they are using salts na vitu kama hizo. But this body will be preserved, or they would put a body a certain way. For example, let's say that body is someone like me, a great teacher in my culture. So whatever teacher I am, okay? So my mentalities, my minds, what was on my mind, my visions and everything. So they would make sure that, for example, I will not be buried so quickly. So for like someone in many cultures, like maybe me, they would exalt your body, like they would put your body somewhere up, somewhere where it's going to take some time before it disintegrates. And during that time, based on how they used to do the burial preparations. So for example, they would know that this person was associated to this energy. So they would have those kind of crystals, correspondences to your zodiac sign and what you are known for as a mentality, a Noah, a Jacob, all these minds, principles in the Bible. Those are just principles. Kina Solomon's, all that. But these are mental forms inside you. These are things that are inside you. Okay? As you think, therefore you are. It's not you are, then you, therefore you think. You think, therefore you are. So these are things inside you. You think first before you write them, so they're inside you. Now, so you find that there are some people, for example, now I'm at a position where I stand by my decision. I stand by my decision. And for people, this would be like, no, how is this happening? Na hapo sasa ndio nataka tuende. That's why I told you this is going to be deep. For example, I may say I will not bury my own mother. Or I will say I will not bury my own father. Nie digathi ka my own dad. Or nie digathi ka my own mom. Now, if your perspective on this has shifted over time, so for some, they may feeling, remember, the heart chakra, feeling, everything is about feeling. For some of you, you may be feeling strongly that maybe you don't want to see anyone in a casket, because you know that the casket represents a different kind of confinement. So instead of going to that burial, because you know the people of the family hawatatambua, wanasema ni lazima wamzike ni wa kanisa, instead you decide, I'm going to honor and respect the person who has transitioned, aka died, by holding on to the memories you shared to them. So watu wameenda kuzika umutu, lakini wewe hukuenda, wewe umebaki na picha zake, ukienjoy music, ukikumbuka the good memories about that person, just because you feel strongly that you don't want to see anyone in a casket, as this represents a different kind of confinement. You get where I'm going with this? You get where I'm going with this? You see how deep shit can get? So, for people, maybe they are looking at my father like, uyu hakuzika sistake. But out of ignorance or taboo or what the family thinks or what people know, I'm not saying they know, it's me teaching why these things happen. So, for me, I can also look at it like that. Like, maybe my father was feeling strongly that he didn't want to see his sister in a casket. Maybe, did anyone ever ask my father, maybe that was too painful for him. Maybe it was too painful to see his last born sister buried Because pengine kuna kitu alikuwa anamwambia usifanye, wewe ni sistangu, nini, unajua mimi ndio first born wa familia. And so maybe when she died, he felt betrayed. It would have been too painful to see his own sister in a casket, as maybe the casket is representing a different kind of confinement, like she was going to go to hell based on what he was brought up to believe. That. So instead, you honor and respect that person by holding a memory that you shared with them. But did anyone ask my father that? Kuna mtu alienda akauliza my father, wait, Mudhaka, wewe hukuzika sister yako, could you have been going through some shit? Could my father have been going through some deep-rooted love, obsession with the sister being the firstborn to the point angezika sister yake? Did anyone ask that question also? Na si ati namtetea? No, this is for teaching purposes only. Did anyone ask my father? Mamurie Muthaka, tondu nathika sasa, or was everything turned against him? Muthaka ni mũũru mũno. He's a very bad father. He couldn't even bury his own sister. You know, he's a narcissist. He's in the army. He's in the Air Force. Did anyone see him that maybe this is a man who could have been going through deep, 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 very deep, very deep things for other people to understand? And this is the place now. This can be a part of your shadow work. Imagine all that drama inaweza kuwa ilikuwa ni shadow work yake. Where is this coming from? If, for example, if you have experienced a huge loss at a young age, let's say you are a young age and you lost a father, you lost a mother, you lost a brother, you lost someone who was dear to you, around the age of 8 years old. Around the age of 8 years old. So those kind of things, they usually alter your entire view of humanity. If something drastic happens to a child, when that child is around 8 years old, if that child experiences a significant loss, separated from the father, separated from the mother, separated from someone they felt that is a security, before they're 8 years old, that alters that child's entire view of humanity. Those children, most of the time, these are the children who become quiet. Okay? So you call them introverts. You don't even know where this came from. You say they are more into themselves. Okay? Some are even mislabeled by the society. So in school setting, unasikia mtoto aongeangi sana shule. Mtoto ako na speech problems. Mtoto ana need speech therapy, especially in today's world. And these are children who experience a huge loss at a young age. Now that loss didn't have to be physical. Because at those minds, at those tender ages, the minds of those children operate very differently. Because remember, the first 7 years when you are developing, the first 7 years of your life are connected to the spiritual world. They are connected to the spiritual realms. They are connected to the ethereal. They are connected to the cosmic worlds. That is why children have beautiful dreams. That is why children, you'll go into a walk and a child is talking to someone you can't see in the room. You have seen videos of children on night cameras where children seem to be talking to things that cannot be seen. They say that the child was talking to a ghost. No. Before they reach the 7 years, a child is deeply connected to the spiritual world. But when they get to the year 8 now, that big 8, that infinity, that verse, that metaverse, that universe. Okay? After that 8th year birthday, you start becoming more grounded into the physical body. You start coming now into this stupid piece of flesh. I'm not calling it stupid, but you get what I'm saying. So your experiences now begin to shape your worldview. Whatever you are going through now starts shaping your worldview. If you're abused around this year, it's going to shape your worldview. If you are abandoned at this around this time, it's going to, now this is the beginning of your father wounds, mother wounds, now all these other dramas. So the way you raise a child during those first 8 years has a huge impact on your development or that child. And even today, you're watching this live, those early experiences continue to influence your perspective in life. So ukiwa hapo unafikiria ati everything ati you have your own mind, you know me, I have my own mind, you know I think for myself. Nani amekuambia you think for yourself? You are still thinking from that 8-year-old thing that happened to you. And that is what is called a generational wound. A generational wound. What do I mean? If my father didn't bury his sister, auntie yangu, what does that mean in a nutshell? It means in a nutshell, they couldn't share a table. Waacha kuenda mbali. Now you are back to the Masons now. Now you are creating the tables. Our kind of table. So welcome to learning how to create a table as a man. Maybe a table you can stand on. Maybe a table you can put food on. Maybe a table you can throw your girlfriend on. Whatever you decide to do with the table, it's your table. It can be your altar. You can decide to iron on your table. Who gives a shit? But learn how to create a table. So here we go. Now, if you can't share a table to the point you can bury your sister, that's my father. So that means you can find what we call common grounds. So this is pointing to a lot of unresolved ancestral patterns of division, where as my dad was growing up, that was a normal thing to see. Unresolved ancestral patterns of division. Do I have to go very far? No, I don't. Why? Kwa sababu my own guka, the late Jenga, who I'm named after, may his soul rest in peace, waliacha shamba yao. Shosho yangu anaitwa Lilian, anaishi pale Makoyo. Hata yeye hizi enda kwao. Ati kwa sababu baba yao, sasa huyu Mudhaka, aliacha Kirumi, watoto wake wasiende kwa shamba yao. Hiyo shamba iko hata wa leo. Hakuna mtoto wao nakaribianga hapo. Wajua wanasemanga waliokoka, yoro wako na Kirumi, Kirumi kekirako. Then to other Americanida. No, we don't just let land go. Hiyo land inafaa tuende tuchukue hiyo land tuipeane. Tuipeane uwanja or something. But you see, this is me now digging. So this is even pointing. I'm looking at unresolved ancestral patterns of division. At the Mudhaka. My father naitwa James Mudhaka. Mudhaka osio tueto. That great grandfather alikuwa amesema shamba yake watoto wake wasikaribie. So that is a lot of ancestral patterns of division. That is a lot of pride. Hiyo ni maringo. Sasa juu umezaa watoto wangu wezi dukanake mugoda wakwa. Unspoken grief. Unspoken grief. That this person is grieving so deeply as a generational wound, they can't share a table. So my father can't bury his sister. So it's showing that this family is carrying this kind of energetic fracture. So there's an energetic fracture that is in this family as epigenetics, DNA, the name shared, the stories, na vitu kama hizo. And if you know how to look at it now, as a generational wound, now when you go deep, you can now see it. You can see, oh shit, the roots of everything about these roots is deep betrayal. You imagine when ni mtoto ati babako anasema dukanake mugoda wake. Already you are feeling betrayed deeply. How can a father who's supposed to be your protector tell you usijenge kwa shamba yake? So this is rooted in deep betrayal. There's a lot of loss. Juu babako amesema msijenge shamba yake alafu amekufa. Hiyo shamba imepotea. Sio ni loss? Sio ni loss? Is that not emotional abandonment? And if it's emotional abandonment, is that not a generational curse? Wewe inaenda generations. Wewe ukichimba, wejera kwanyu wirago atia. Uthia bogoini ukejera, kewirago atia wejera bogoini. Uthia wejera wero atia. Ukero kwanyu kuhana. And then that is stretching generations. So this is the question. This is where it becomes fucked up. Really, really fucked up. Did you set this up for yourself? Did you set this up? Did you set this up to be in a position where you don't have to bury your parents because you understand what it means to be in a casket? Yet, unajua, set up in a time where people are going to look at you with a side eye. Ati hakuzika mamake? Ati hakuzika babake? Alisema nini? Alisema hezi taka kuona mwili ya babake ikiwekwa kwa sanduku juu anajua what kind of ritual that is, ama mamake. Akasema yeye amedecide kucelebrate hiyo siku na kuwakumbuka without coming to the burial. And he's standing his ground. Ucio mundu ni mugorokiwe, ucio no wa gishashi. Ucio ndigwa na mundu wavagiwe, mundu tarathika ithe. But mimi nimesema with a reason that is making sense. Na mwingine alifanya na hakupeana reason. So the question is this. Did you set this up? Did your soul set this up? Did you set this up so that you can break that cycle? Did you set yourself up so now you can become that cycle breaker? So now you're learning how to hold space for unity. Compassion. Because you need to have compassion on yourself. See wale, compassion has got nothing to do with the other people. Atumekataa kuzika mzazi nini atumako igweleza. Tiare when wewe compassion in where you deal with the compassion. Because maybe you set it up to break that cycle. That even when other people cannot do the communication, you can. So I'm opening my throat chakra and you are breaking these generational curses. Even when the others can speak about these things, I'm opening my throat chakra and speaking about this. And I'm not here to force reconciliations. No. Speaking like this does not mean that I'm forcing reconciliations. I'm not even here looking for love. Atuho in the family tushikane tufanye. No. I'm not forcing anything. I'm just embodying that energy of healing. Okay? I'm embracing that energy of healing. We need healing in this family in one way, shape, or another. And part of that healing is setting boundaries. Setting boundaries. Because you see, sometimes the lesson is not to fix the family. Understanding evil. Ukiuga ati ndenda kuriha thire wa soso, ndenda kuriha thire wa ng'ania, ndenda kuriha thire wa tata, ndenda gutwara mbaru cia twaritwo, ndenda gutwara mahungu matigarite, ndenda gutwara kigoti yatigarite, ndenda gutwara kiboxa giatigarite, hena kamithi gatathiite. Listen. Kuna kitu inaitangwa forcing reconciliations. Ni kuri maundu ma guthira, ni kuri maundu mahukaga. Even the white rhino ni yahukire. Ugithio ripejeta ukora ati huria kimakia thinua ni kiahukire, mukuga ni rathire extinct. Ni kuri maundu mathiraga. It's not always good to force reconciliations. Kiria kina vata, you embody the energy of healing at when you rutite kuhonia kwanyu. Iyo tu energy. Iyo tu kubali, mimi nimejitolea nitaponya nyumbani. And I'm setting boundaries. Setting boundaries. Not walls. Boundaries. Atenoge nie wito. Mundu wothe we akuhi nani agikauma thi no atuike hi ni athie. Ndarugama na kiugo giakwa ndauga ndigathie mathiko make. Muthenya ucio nie ngatiwo mucii ngĩkĩrorera mbica ciake ngĩririkana ikeno iria twakenaga nake tondũ nĩ njũĩ igongona rĩa mwĩrĩ gwĩkĩrwo ithandũkũ na gũthikwo nĩ kĩoho kĩngĩ. So you may understand there's a lesson that it is not always a mission to fix the family dynamic, but to transform wewe mwenyewe, wewe ubadilike. You transform your own relationship yako uibadilishe. You're only in this world to do two things: create or transmute. When you look at the word transform, transmute, you are here to create or transmute. So you are here to create your own relationships with connection and belonging, or to transmute your own relationship with connections and belongings, how you connect now with people and how you belong. How do you feel? Do you belong? Do you feel like that is your family? Is that your soul group? Are those people you can align with? Do you agree on so many things? Or you are pedaling the boat na wengine wanaeka mashimo? So you are refusing to pass the same fragmentation forward. As a cycle breaker, you become the one who I'm not passing this fragmentation forward. It ends with me. You see, where my dad couldn't even bury his sister. You see that those deep roots of pride or division, a pattern of division, unspoken. You see that energetic fracture with its roots in betrayal, loss, abandonment. Your fathers left you. Papa was a rolling stone. He was never home. Emotional abandonment. Your father never schooled you. Your father was nowhere to be seen. He was at Sabina Joy 24/7, getting his tail wet. I'm not saying there is anything wrong with your father getting his tail wet, or you or your grandfather. I'm just saying you need boundaries. It's good to fuck, but know when to fuck and when to rest. Okay? And also know who you're fucking. So there's some things you shouldn't even be thinking about, lest alone even be getting hard for. Now, so that lack of seeing eye to eye is a mirror of a karmic pattern. It's a mirror of a karmic pattern. So ukiona familia muskizani, that's a mirror. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. It's a mirror to a karmic pattern. So the pattern is that the previous generations before you were born, the previous generations, they were avoidant when it comes to emotional honesty. So ndio maana babu yako alikuwa anaamka asubuhi moja anasema nimesema watoto wangu wasiniridhi, because they were avoiding emotional honesty. Babako alikuwa anajua watoto watatu kwa hao watano alizaliwa, but because they didn't have that maturity of emotional honesty, emotional immaturity in today's world where you're supposed to communicate, they avoided those conversations. So they were not seeing each other eye to eye. So they lived in survival mode. So they thrived on power. So that father wanted to be the powerful figure. So he was prioritizing. So he was prioritizing power. Or he was prioritizing pride over vulnerability. So when you see the patterns, now you know, oh shit, I'm already in the awareness stage of what is happening in this family. So this is something that now you become aware. Now as a confirmation, you're like, wait, I'm now aware something my ancestors, they likely either could not, because maybe they didn't have the wisdom that you have now, or the mental expansion that you have now based on your travels. So you are seeing something that your ancestors either could not change or speak about or wouldn't do. There are only two options. Either your ancestors could not, they wouldn't do, which becomes karma. Because what is karma? Action taken. Remember, even when you don't take action, that's also action. That's also karma. So, when you hear people speaking to anasema, oh, you know, I feel like I'm called to break this cycle, you know, the generational cycles. Wait a minute. Have you been called to do this? Or is your instinct, keyword, have you been called to save your family? Or is your instinct more to create your own new table with people who truly align with you? Shout out to the subconscious community. Shout out to the soul group. Because both things are valid. Both paths are valid. And each has got healing in its own right. So you see, nowadays the problem with nowadays is that men don't know what they're supposed to do in life. So a lot of men value or put value in money. So men think that the value of life is money. Okay, so man thinks that a title, a CGH, a PDH, a professor is more important. A governor, an MC, all those titles, or money. So men who don't have culture, now we are talking of culture. Because also now I want to show you how to create a culture. Shout out to the soul group. So, how do you begin a culture? That is the question. Before you come here and say, you know, I'm a culture, you know, I'm a cultured man, or you're not cultured. You're a boy. Sit down. Tunaona hapa mukiimba jera ya mudharava. The same things your parents used to do. Jera ya mudharava, toko idhia muno nyina mutheru, madia mutheru, holy mother of. The same categorism, the same Catholicism. Tumeiona updated hapa TikTok. Tumeona wanaume wakiimba hapa TikTok. Nyimbo za weakness. They don't even know how a culture is created. Now, listen. A culture will only begin with creating a new table. You see, these other tables have been soiled. They have been raping our women on these tables. So your mothers were raped on tables, whether the tables are on top of bars, whether the tables are pole dancing. Unaniputa Applebee's. Now watch pussy on the table. Pole dancing. Our women were raped on the tables. Okay? So, when people feel disconnected, ukaigua gikuyu disconnected, matiramenya ni maumite nako na marathie nako, or they feel unseen. Ukaigua gikuyu ni guthira turathira, ruri ni kumerio ruramerio, ni kuhuka turahuka, shida inaanzanga hapo. The moment you see that you are unseen as the Gikuyu community, the moment you feel disconnected, nyabo ni mwabeiro, that is the moment you start creating a new table. And you create your table within your original environment. What do I mean? You create that culture within Mutaburuko wa Nyandarua, Kirebiroiro, Karbatura. You get what I'm saying? So you create that same thing within the original environment because you are native to the land. You are native to the land. You came out of those waters. You came out of those soils. You are native to that land. You came out of that land. That's when you create the table. It can only come from that land. Because that is the space where naturally now, when you take your mind there, you are building spaces that reflect their values according to Mutaburo kwa Nyadarwa, Kiremara, Garbatura, Kirebiru. You know the four fixated points according to you. Kila watu wako nayo. As above, so below. Know your history. Know your story. Si Southern Kikuyu. Now, why is this important? Kwa sababu when you are building the spaces that reflect your values now, between you to wish your dauga siage koyo, those becomes your truths, mayanyu, and that is the only thing that can give you a sense of belonging. I don't have to speak Ikoyo to make sense. I can speak language, learned language, and make sense more than you. So now this is what happens. Over time, what we are doing is that we have these intentional gatherings. So kaigua kwena gathering, no gathering iyo ri irero witagwo ate aramati athingira. Okay, very good gathering. Twina aramati athingira, kwena gathering, shout out to them. You know me, I'm a father of all of them, so I'm welcome anywhere. Ni uguthi wigwe kwina angi maretwo Watadae. Shout out to Watadae. Okay, I'm your grandfather because I know how this is created. Okay, so now over time, these small groups, intentional gatherings, is in your create traditions. Remember, I'm reminding you how to create a culture or a table where we can come to your table to discuss gas prices. We can invite you to our table now as the Kikuyu. We can invite you to our table to discuss the Nairobi-Nakuru highway because it's passing in our land. Learn how to create a culture. So we can invite you on our table, intentional gatherings that evolve into traditions, things that we do traditionally. We have our governors, our people tunawaambia hii barabara inapita hapa, inalipwa. Why? This is going to make us get invited into tables that means something. Now we can be invited when they're discussing the gas prices because munaweza weka gas prices tuseme na hii barabara imepita kwetu. What you call shared narratives. What you call cultural identities. How you create a table. So si unakuja kuniambia te culture yake kwa hiyo na do iginya uthodeka culture. Your culture cannot in this country defend you for anything. Your Gikuyu culture has no seat at any table. Any table. You're not sitting on any tables. Hakuna mahali muna change policy as a community. There's no tables you are invited to discuss the price of gases. Amuku invitiwa wakati wameshoke kuulizwa kama mta afford kuweka mishipi. Mishipi ilipasiwa mkaambiwa nyinyi wote ndio matatu Kikuyu owners, you are the matatu Kikuyu owners, yes, mtaweka mishipi. Were you consulted? No, because there was a government that is representing you, so you're not represented under anywhere. So you don't have a culture. Your culture is dead. So you need to learn how to create new tables. Now, think about it like this. How do spiritual movements begin? Prophet Owuor, a spiritual movement, anatembeanga na security, na V8, na polisi, na siren, na helicopter, na ni spiritual movement. King wenyu wa Kikuyu, mwenye mulianointi hapa Kiambu, ati the Gikuyu king, sijaiona cheska, hata ya pikipiki, nione box tatu na TVS imepita niulize, neke, muthamaki wa Gikuyu, hata akipita hata ujuangi ni yeye. So this is why I'm telling you. You don't have a culture. That a spiritual movement guy anatembeanga na chopa. Prophet Owuor. Prophet wa kanisa. But ninyi ya whole Gikuyu community, huo mnaitanga king sijaiona cheska yake. So you have nothing. As a representation of, in actual sense, walking the talk. Look at it like this. Watu wanakuanga na renaissance. Unasikia the high renaissance, the late renaissance. Watu wanafanya paintings, vitu kama paintings na akina... These are not actual people, but these are times. Like the Shakespeare time, they were not actual people. Mogo wa Kiviro time, they were not actual people. These were like doctrines. Ama Romeo and Juliet... No, Shakespeare. Shakespeare was not a real person. Shakespeare is how people used to write those kind of stories. That became Shakespeare, a person. Someone copyrighted that. The same way mtu amekuja Kenya amecopyright Jabba Juice. Na si Mkenya. Na hata si Mmeru. Okay? Afrika mnajifanya venye mko waweka. Mko waweka mumelala kama mang'ombe. Okay? Yani muhindi anakuja Kenya, hajaifika Meru, hajai atakula Mogoka, anaregister jina Jabba Juice na ana patent jina. Wewe Mogoka umekula Mogaka, kwani nikigisa ni kangeta. Netangiza kangeta, hujaifikiria ku patent hata anything. Na hakuna mtu alikukataza. Kazi yako tu ni must go. Think about how renaissances are started. Kama hiyo nimekuambia Jabba Juice, that's a renaissance. Ukitaka kujua ni renaissance, Jabba Juice iko copyrighted. Ukienda Kikuyu 254 utakuta Muratina imepatentiwa under the jina Muratatu, Muraine. He came to my stand, KWS, alikuja akanunua wine yangu. So very soon you may find my wine at KWS ama KLS. Kama imepata na ameiweka jina. Why? Yeye ni mzungu amepewa barua zote. Mimi nikienda kuregister wine yangu, serikali tunaanzana. You need 1 million shillings license to apply. You need to meet this criteria. But mzungu akikuja anapewa. Ndio zinaitangwa renaissances, the high renaissance, the late renaissance, wakati wa Galileo, wakati wa all those people. Sasa ni wakati wao. Sasa ni wakati wa Jabba Juice patented, ni wakati wa Muraine patented. Hakuna kitu ina to stop, but we are a culture that has been destroyed, and unless we tukubali, we rebuild, we start again, we are doing nothing. Think about social revolutions. How do they start? Small groups creating new ways of being. And this happens how? They are usually responding to somewhere where they felt broken, where they were feeling limited in the old system. So the question is, what kind of culture are you called to create? What kind of culture are you called to create? So if you're a man and you think that life is about money, you think life is about social status, you are a boy. And you should learn to sit down when real men drop their balls on the table. Show some respect. Kwa sababu ukiulizwa saa hizi utuambie yako ni gani, hauna. Ukiambiwa yako ni gani, hauna. But you're talking the loudest. Ukiambiwa create a culture, where would you start? Wamuke tu ande uambiwe tunataka create culture within a Kikuyu. So kuambiwa kuja hapa, hiki naitwa Gikuyu, ametako na aya ni kikundi kiama, hiki ni kiama heni, hiki ni kiama yavio, hiki ni kikundi kiama etahanama, ana wametako M9, ana wametako M7, aya na wametako the orehero wero. Now this is a fragmented Kikuyu group, and it is very powerful. Though it is fragmented, though mena njatũkano mũno, nĩ andũ me hinya mũno me hamwe gĩkũyũ gĩkĩ. Wĩrwo atĩrĩrĩ, andũ aya no mathondekere culture. Atĩ, even in small intentional steps, we can nurture connection and trust. Hakuna Mkikuyu anaamini ule mwingine, so how can we build a culture? Hakuna Mkikuyu anakuanga akitaka maneno ya connection, how can we build a culture? Mkikuyu ukienda ukimununulia kitu kwa soko, unasikia nikuuzie kamfuko. Enda Isili, the same thing, ununue kwa Muhindi, unapewa gunia. How are you going to create a culture, Gikuyu? How? You cannot be trusted. Mutirio ekoku. Mutirio nyitaneri. You don't know how to nurture connection. So how do we create a community? If you don't have that kind of blueprint, then naona mimi hatuwezi piga story na wewe. Okay? So si kwa ubaya, we can't have a conversation. Because if you ask me, I have a master plan where I can lay down point by point how we can create a new culture. Point by point. Notes, nikupee notes. How to create a culture. Tukae chini. Nikuambie tunaanza na energy flow, atulazimishi. Instead of trying to unite everyone at once, atiri vata tuwete, tuenda kunyitania mihirika kenda, tunyitania kenda muyuru, tunyitithanie kiama, tunyitania kiama kia maheni, tunyitania kiama kihana gitahana kia maheni. Instead of doing all that, when you are building a culture, when you are building a table, start with the ones who are open and willing. Open and willing. Thie naria mutoranaga nao. Thie naria mutoranaga nao. Because a group of like-minded people, andu mareciria mwicirio mwe, nio mahiguraga njira. Nio mahiguragira undu ucio ungi munene uguka na hau thutha. Jatukano means resistance. Jatukano ni resistance. Jatukano ni fragmentation. You are too fragmented. Kirira giki kirauga, kirira giki kia maithe maitu, maithe mao kumaugaga, that's a lot of fragmentation. You are building resistance. But a small, consistent circle can create a momentum. What do I mean? The butterfly effect is one way to create a culture. Not as a distraction, but a small circle, consistent. Each one, kila mtu anako kwake. Wewe usijali, wacha kuangalia likes, usiangalie looks, usiangalie likes, usiangalie what we call thumbnail, usiangalie titling, hapana. We are just consistent. We are consistent. We are showing up. That consistent circle is what creates a momentum for something bigger. Yenye iko nyuma, bigger than us, whereby we'll just be remembered as thought forms, books, movies, maybe, whatever it will be, who knows? Sun, moon in Leo. Remember, just like the sun, one day, nowarire mundu Tarioa akaugaga, unajua kuna message mazeni nilisikia mahali, change my life. It's as easy as that. So ukifikiria ati, oh, you need a building with a name, it can be easy as being someone's sunshine at that particular day. Culture can be reclaimed. Culture can be reclaimed. And to reclaim the culture, you sit, you look at what still connects us. Tukita Gikuyu ri niki tutigitie kiratunyitithania. Ndio twendeka reclamation, cultural reclamation. Tukarora niki tutigitie. What can we still use as a group? What still connects us as a group? Tukona hena language. So language still connects us, yes. Then let's be careful with the language. Because this language, when we allow the radio station to distort this language, we are losing it. Tumeme tutu tuothe tutiaragia Gikuyu. Tũragia atĩrĩrĩ. Gũtirĩ kameme ga Gikuyu. Tũragia atĩrĩrĩ. Tũragia language, thought. There's no esoteric wisdom there. So if language is a thing that still connects us, and we are not using it, how can we reclaim culture? And now this is the question. When I speak the language, will you listen? No, because you are in Aterere. So you want me to speak Kikuyu, but urenda ajarie Aterere. Urenda ajarie Aterere. But mimi si huko kwa Aterere. What still connects a group kama tunafanya cultural reclamation? Rwario ni imwe. Nĩ kũrĩ ndaĩ, nĩ kũrĩ magongona, kana ng'ano tũratambania. So we can frame the learning culture, a new learning culture, a new Gikuyu. So we frame the learning culture around something familiar. What is this something familiar? Our language, rũthiomi rwitũ. So tuigue tarĩ gũcokereria tũracokereria. Tutikaigue rũthiomi tarĩ kĩndũ kĩerũ, rather than a foreign imposition. Maya nĩ mageni matumaitũ nĩmo, maya nĩ maratũraraka mũno. Ai, atĩ tũrethire wa cũcũ. Ai, hapana. So we let it feel like it's a return. Andũ menda gũcokereria, magũcokereria nĩkĩ? Ng'ano iria tũraheana, storytelling. Okay? So we are doing storytellings. We are doing music, twĩna nyĩmbo, twĩre irio cia ũndũire. Ti ngima, ti mukimo, no, the real Kikuyu food. Kama ni kurudisha culture. Turali horo wa mkombi. Naona hii? Chickpeas. You get what I'm saying? So this is a powerful way to weave the people together. Not woka kujira ati wa muthakari Gikuyu, twaragie Gikuyu, twari Gikuyu na nginya nduriaga irio cia Gikuyu. You see now you are walking contradiction. You see now uraria matahiko maku. You see now you are like a Christian walking backwards. You want us to speak Kikuyu for culture, but nothing about you represents culture. Nothing. Nothing represents that culture. So you are fighting the wrong battle, obviously. Because culture is not on me. Culture is in me. It's not something that I learn like a language. It's in me. It's in my DNA. You want to build a culture? Wamudhaka, yes. What is the culture? Each one teach one. Ati omodu ena mwana wake. Omodu ena ogo wake. Each one teach one. Omodu ni ali ogo wake. Each one teach one. Omodu ni ali oge wake. Omodu ni ali ogo wake. So if I'm building a culture, I lead by embodying the best way to model. Each one teach one. Ati omodu ni ali oge wake. Omodu ni ali ogo wake. Gutiri utangi rori oge kaundu. Gutiri gitaturie kiria kingi. So how do we do this? You offer small. Hari ori we. You offer small regular moments of teaching and learning. geragia ukera andu kaundu ugathoma kaundu mukarutana mukorania ni ndereti. It can be an informal greeting, it can be informal gatherings, kaso group, it can be a community or subgroup, it can be in voice notes. Let people witness the value before asking them to join. Wacha waone value hiyo kitu. Unashinda ukisema each one teach one before they join. Eki andu maigue me safe ogoda create culture. Let people feel psychologically safe. Because remember, andu aya ni mathinite muno matigirwo weru. Gikuyu ni very fragmented as a group. So they carry a lot of unspoken wounds. Agire manyitirwo kia hinya, agi magitunywo ngundu, agi magiko maundu. Waragia na muiko ahigura kanua gakura. We ndienda kuririkana mau. Unspoken wounds. They have been battered, ukurare, utheri wa arare. Umesikia maneno ya Kikuyu up to date. So these people need psychological safety. Matirenda handu makurira. Ati haria marathi kuria nyingi no kuma marahurwo bara magikinya uguo thire wa guka thire wa soso kabuti ka nyukwa mori no you are not even creating a culture. You don't know how to create a culture now. There's no psychological safety. Mundu areti ukai icio mburi ni ciingiha muno men ndatarirwo mburi ngigua ta nguthuka handu ngiona kaba njokete kanitha-ini. Yes, tondu andu aya matiui guthondeka mathoma mavuku ni kwirwo matiui metha uria yakagwo. Without psychological safety there's no culture, because the group is already fragmented. The group already carries unspoken wounds, the mau. The group still speaks of their chiefs being buried upside down. They need psychological safety. Tiate haria nyingi marorira makaigua we ndurutite mburi ya thuri, ewe na ndurutite mburi ya kiama, we ndwikite no. Hatuwezi build hivyo, haiwezi kuwa hivyo. Hiyo ni yako na hiyo itaisha na niguthire rathira. Ndugiuga ni urenda unduire culture ucoke uhe timelines ati waga gwika ni ukuona o mukana, waga gwika ni ukuona o gutire kindu ta kiu, tondu ni kuri andu makurega, tondu nayo ngiumaja nuonaga icio ni mbegu urarire imwe cirarega kuhethuka kindu. Koguo it's normal kwi mundu wa kurega, kwi andu ni kichwa ngumu, kaigua mundu ucio ni gathukia, na ni kuri andu akweyeheria, they disengage. Na icio ciothe ni ironda, ukaigua ucio ni atutigire, ucio ni atotokire. So tigana nacio, tiga utinda ikinyira ucio ati anga ucio ni aumire, ucio ni atutigire. No, focus on building with those who resonate. Na wacio angire muthenya umwe ni makaiyurwo ni hinya, ni makaigua they have a sure footing. Maigua uguo ri ni magoka, na moka ri haria mugakorwo mukinyite ri niho mukamahingurira mirango mumera come brother nituthi na mbere nitucokie uthaka witu wa unduire. Na kungirema uguo wothe no twanjie ringi, gutire gitambagwo ringi, no twambe weru, no tunyitane tuge giki ri kiri guita. If the fragmentation runs too deep, if Gikuyu ni kiaukanite muno, ora twageri gucokaniriria no njatukano twageri gucokereria no njatukano, no tugie na metha njeru, ituike kimuri, ituike kionereria of what's possible. Ati sometimes healing happens indirectly. Toginya tuhone direct, no tuhone indirectly. Adu maje kuona kiria matari, so they start seeing what they are missing. Instead of asking them to participate, hadu otire tukimeta we ukore heburi, we ukawe kiona, we Ndurutite mburi. Well, no, we don't have to do that. Toginya tutinde tukimera moke. Na ringi matire ready. Asa. Let them see what they are missing. When people see what they are missing, they start healing indirectly. So we can start from scratch. So, rĩrĩa igua ngĩaria ũhoro wa soul group, ũkaigua ngĩra andũ nĩtũcemanagia handũ. That is the reason. That is the reason. So, if you claim to be a man, na si kwa ubaya, that's how I speak, that's my moon in Leo. So if you claim to be a man and you are not speaking like that, hiyo niyo jigua atari talking donkey ile ya Bible ini. Because man is not money or titles. Man is, can you create? No rogamie a village. Kugia na order. Can you do that? How many shadows do you have to overcome before uanze kwa nyumba? You know what I'm saying? So shit is deep. Na nilikuwa nimekuja tu salamu, najua nilikuwa napita, si unajua saa zingine napitianga, but nikaona ni poa tu niache hiyo behind niseme, because we need to be a community that is fostering growth. We cannot be a community tunajiita Wakikuyu but there's no foundation for fostering growth. There's no empowerment. Nani mwingine atakuja kufanya hizo vitu? There's no unity. Nani mwingine atakuja kufanya hizi vitu? Especially within a fragmented group. So tuna vision, si ati tunanga vision. We even have the vision for the Gikuyu people as a vision. I have a dream. No, I don't have a dream. I have a vision. Kioneki. We can heal through shared wisdom. Ni andu ingi muno mena ugi muingi muno guku Gikuyu-ini makoo maregete naguo, mahithite naguo, mahingurite ma bookshop. Wathi kumorio kaigua makiuga icio ciaragio muno, icio ni cia kiama kina, icio ni cia mwaki fulani. Bullshit. I'm not bullshitting the mwaki. I'm bullshitting the people who don't want to share wisdom. Twagone kumenya ati each and every person has something valuable to offer. Ginya mwana hekariowi. So we create a healing space where knowledge flows freely. Tuhoni roda. We bridge these gaps. When you hear someone talking of burning bridges, haikuangi bridge hizo application ukonate udarasa ya bao, no, ni bridging gaps. That is the way we can restore what has been lost or broken. One lesson at a time. So that was today's lesson. Lesson 1. 33 people watching. That's a beautiful one. 18,000 likes. That's a 9. You know, my life path number 9. And now is 181. It's written everywhere. 181, you can see that 11 in reference to that 8. A universe, a metaverse, our own world, our own verse. 2, relating. Gikuyu. 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 We can do this. It's doable. Ni sasa. So, shout out to everyone. Big shout out to Mwariwa Irimo for the kisses and the ice creams and the roses. Thank you for lighting the life, making it smell good with roses. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the roses. Na vitu kama hizo. I'm browsing through the comments. Yone kama kuna kitu mpya hapa mtu alikuwa creating your own table is a share, creating a new culture in your own way, right? Yes. Exactly, but you need the people. You need to work with the people. You can't isolate the people. It has to make sense. It has to resonate. Oral, tradition, music. You have to make it make sense within the 4 pillars. So So unafaa ujue pillars zenyu ni gani. What pillars send your positive energy to Gathoni? She lost her mother at a young age. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the bracelets, the bombers of Thairo. So shout out to everyone. Anything that promotes Gikuyu culture ni tick. Yes, and you upgrade those things. Gikuyu culture is not just brown skin. Be more imaginative, okay? Sikae tu hapo ati Gikuyu rĩu mwathi museum ya Gikuyu no muonanirie cowrie shells na kĩrĩa na skins na kĩ. Unless you are doing them with the meaning behind it, because you need to have meaning. Okay? I have no emotions. As a Taurus, sinanga emotions. So when I wear a crown on top and it's open, iko na shells, that represents my emotions. At least ndio niwa feel kidogo, because I have no emotions. I feel nothing being a Taurus. I feel, it takes a lot to make me feel. And me, when I feel deeply. Ni sawa. Ciao, ciao. Shout out to everyone in the comments. Do have a beautiful one. We are still at 196, 33 people watching. Love you from the bottom of my heart.